Hello, we are Group 1. Today, we discuss Too Tired to Live, Youth, Work, and the Search for Meaning. Chapter 1 Introduction. Today's youth are more connected and ambitious than ever, yet many feel tired, anxious, and lost in endless productivity. This documentary explores the deep contradiction between modern hustle culture and the human need for purpose, guided by the philosophies of Marx, Aristotle, and de Beauvoir. In this video, we will focus on 3 issues. 1. What are youth perceptions of hustle culture? 2. What is the relationship between hustle culture and stress, meaning? 3. How can philosophy provide alternative perspectives? The objectives were threefold. First, we wanted to measure how exposed students are to hustle culture. Second, we examined their work ethics and their sense of meaning. And finally, we interpreted their responses through a philosophical lens, to explore how deeply modern work culture affects our minds, values, and purpose. To better understand these struggles, we conducted a survey among 27 university students from different faculties. We asked about their work habits, emotional well-being, and sense of life purpose. The results revealed a deep contradiction. Many reported satisfaction with their hustle lifestyle, but also admitted to burnout, anxiety, and a longing for a slower pace of life. We combined philosophical theory with survey data to understand how youth internalize, resist, or reshape this culture. 3 major thinkers guide our analysis. Karl Marx describes alienation, how people become emotionally disconnected from their work. Students may be productive, but they often report low fulfillment. Epistemology helps us understand why we believe hustle is necessary. In our data, students say they feel proud of being productive, but they also feel empty. This contradiction reveals that their beliefs are shaped externally. Epistemology invites us to ask, whose truth are we living by? Ideology is powerful because it feels invisible. Hustle culture convinces students that rest is laziness. Our findings show they blame themselves for burnout. Hans theory tells us, when we exploit ourselves in the name of freedom, we are not free. We are following an ideology that tells us value equals output. Post-colonial theory helps us critique hustle culture as a colonial legacy. Many youth strive for goals shaped by Western systems. But does this reflect our cultural roots? If our success story is borrowed, our meaning becomes blurred. Decolonizing success means redefining it through our own values and needs. So what's the core dilemma? Students are both agents and victims of hustle culture. They strive for value through work but long for peace, connection, and meaning. Philosophy here is not abstract. It helps us ask, are we working to live, or living to work? This tension sets the stage for deeper questions in the next chapter. How can we find purpose in a culture that rarely lets us rest? Chapter 3. Meaning lost in motion, burnout and the absurd life. Society directly links productivity with personal value, which is particularly evident in post-colonial countries influenced by Western ideology. Students are generally caught up in a state of constant busyness but meaninglessness, right-pointing arrow and existential crisis. This fatigue is not merely a psychological issue, but an ontological dilemma stemming from a colonized way of life. In our survey, the most common response was this: I feel burnout at the end of every semester. The average score, 6.0 out of 7. Even those who said they were satisfied with their hustle lifestyle, also said they longed for a slower, quieter life. French philosopher Albert Camus called this kind of tension the absurd, the conflict between our desire for meaning and a world that gives none. He gave us the image of Sisyphus, a man condemned to roll a giant stone uphill, only to watch it fall, again and again. For Camus, that's what modern life often is. You keep working, pushing, climbing, but you never arrive. Most students, he might say, are like modern Sisyphus, trapped in cycles of coursework, deadlines, performance. And yet, unlike Camus' hero, they have not yet learned to rebel. Camus reminds us, the first step to freedom is the refusal to lie. But too often, students lie, not to others, but to themselves. Friedrich Nietzsche had a question: whose values are you living by? He warned us of slave morality, a system where people follow rules out of fear, not freedom. Many students are top scorers, class leaders, multitaskers. But they also feel lost. Because their goals were not chosen, they were inherited. Success, for them, is not joy. It's survival. Nietzsche called us to become the Übermensch, the one who redefines values, who creates meaning from within. But in hustle culture, many students forget that they can choose. That they have the right to live differently. Let's now turn to Stoicism, a philosophy that teaches us to focus only on what we can control, and to calmly accept what we cannot. In hustle culture, students are often told that rest is weakness. But the Stoics would disagree. They believed that strength comes not from non-stop action, but from inner discipline. From knowing when to act, and when to let go. Our data shows that many students crave a slower, more stable pace of life. They want independence, rest, and time to reflect. But they often feel guilty for slowing down, because they lack a strong internal philosophy to justify those choices. This is where Stoicism becomes useful. It gives youth the tools to develop resilience, not by working harder, but by thinking more clearly. As Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. So, in this way, rest is not giving up. It's self-leadership. Human concept asks us to rethink what makes a person whole. If youth are trained only to produce, are they still living as humans or just performing? Philosophy reminds us that human worth is not about metrics but meaning. Philosophy of life is not about fixing problems but asking better questions. Why are we here? What do we want from life? Our data shows youth are tired not just physically, but existentially. They need time to reconnect with themselves. Metaphysics helps us see time and being differently. Time is not just for tasks, it's for moments. Our students know how to do, but they forget how to be. Rest is not delay, it's part of existence. Relativism reminds us, no value system is absolute. If students feel disconnected from their goals, maybe it's time to question those goals. Success should be personal, not imposed. We start this chapter by asking, is success about grades, wealth, and prestige? Or is it about flourishing in your own way? Many students chase external markers but feel hollow inside. That's a sign that we need a new success narrative. In a culture that glorifies exhaustion, choosing to rest is radical. When students say, "I feel guilty when I'm not working," that's ideology at work. Rest is not wasteful, it's moral self-respect. These philosophies offer ancient but powerful tools. Stoicism helps with mental control, Aristotle's ethics guide wise choices, and Taoism reminds us that harmony, not force, leads to real creativity. Let's begin with the ethics of care. Care means empathy, support, and human connection. It reminds us that we don't live alone, we are part of a community. Hustle culture says, finish that assignment, get ahead. But care says, helping your sibling or being there for a friend is just as important. When we care, we build emotional strength, balance, and real connection. True balance isn't just about managing time, it's about choosing what truly matters. Care isn't just personal, it's political. Society tells us that resting or taking time for others is lazy. But choosing care is a way to fight back against harmful systems. Young people can demand real change, like mental health days in school or flexible schedules. Caring is not weakness, it's an act of strength. It's resistance. Philosophy gives us tools to question the world around us. Western thinkers teach self-control, freedom, and personal ethics. Eastern thinkers teach balance, harmony, and letting go of ego. Both ask, does being busy mean we are truly living? Philosophy helps us rethink what success really means. It asks us, what is a good life? Hustle culture sees people as machines, measured by grades, deadlines, and achievements. But humans are so much more. We are creative, we are emotional, we are social. Philosophy reminds us that success should also include joy, rest, and meaning. To be human is not to be perfect, it is to be whole. Where do these ideas come from? Most of the time, social media. We see people working non-stop and think that's the only way. But that's just one story. When we stop and question what we see, we practice epistemic humility. We realize, maybe we don't know everything. And maybe, slowing down is the smarter choice. Hustle culture often uses bad logic. If I rest, I'll fail. If I'm not busy, I don't matter. These aren't facts, they're fear-based thinking. Learning simple logic helps us break free. It lets us make healthier choices, with clearer minds. Many beliefs about success come from ideology, systems that benefit from our overwork. Constant self-improvement sounds noble, but often, it serves the system, not the person. When young people realize this, they can say no without guilt. They begin to reclaim their time and energy. Philosophy also helps us think about time and existence. Hustle culture treats time like a resource to burn through. But time is life itself. Resting, breathing, just being. These are not breaks from living, they are living. What about success? We often define it through Western ideals, elite schools, high-paying jobs, online fame. But not all cultures agree. Decolonial thinking reminds us that meaning can come from local traditions, service, and community. It gives us the power to define success on our own terms. Chapter 5, Suggestions and Conclusion. In this section, we propose practical recommendations to address the widespread impact of hustle culture, especially among youth. Our goal is to shift the conversation toward mental well-being, philosophical insight, and a broader understanding of what success truly means. Our first suggestion is to promote work-life balance. Universities should prevent deadline overlaps and offer wellness programs. Workplaces should encourage flexible hours and fair workloads. Next, we recommend integrating philosophical and ethical literacy into the curriculum. Students should be exposed to thinkers like Marx, Aristotle, and Simone de Beauvoir to reflect deeply on modern life and labor. Our third point is about redefining success. We need to move beyond Western ideals like elite schools or social media fame. Instead, let's value traditional arts, local wisdom, and collective well-being. We also encourage reflective practices, such as journaling, group dialogues, and mindfulness. These practices help youth focus on personal meaning, not just external validation. Fifth, future research must include diverse youth voices, from different backgrounds and cultures. Qualitative methods can help us understand the real emotional and social costs of hustle culture. Lastly, we must recognize that rest is not just about stress relief. Across religions, rest is sacred. It aligns us with our soul, our purpose, and the universe. Educational systems should honor this too. In conclusion, hustle culture may promise success, but it often delivers anxiety, burnout, and disconnection. Many youth today are seeking slower, more intentional lives. By embracing philosophy, honoring cultural diversity, and reforming institutions, we can build a future where success is not just about productivity, but also about balance, purpose, and being fully human. As we say, a meaningful life is not rushed. It is lived. Thank you for watching.